Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Maggie Moreland, and I'm currently just about 36 weeks pregnant with baby number 1, and I've been sharing all about my personal journey as well as some things that I feel are important to me. I'm currently a holistic health practitioner, and I am studying to be a birth doula and childbirth educator. So I'm really passionate about women's health and wellness, and now the health and wellness of my baby, but I hope that this information helps you feel empowered on your own journey. I feel like there is so much societal conditioning around birth and labor, and a lot of it is negative, like what you see in the movies, what you see on TV shows, what you hear about other people's stories. I feel like there's a lot of negativity around labor and birth. And one thing I noticed on my own journey is a lot of things can be scary. There can be a lot of fears. So in today's video, I wanted to share with you some ways that I've been overcoming my fears around birth and labor. So first things first, birth is just as natural as pooping, peeing, sleeping. It is a normal function of the female body, and quite frankly, like, we were made to do this. We were made to carry a child in our bodies for 9 months, give them what they need, nourish them, and then bring them into this world through us. We were made to do this, and I feel like this is something that I have been reminding myself of my entire pregnancy, because it is so empowering. Just the fact that our biological purpose as women, as females, is to give birth, is to be this vessel to bring new life into the world. And that makes me feel kind of like a badass. So the first thing that I find to be really helpful in overcoming some fears around birth is just to voice all of my concerns. And I mentioned this in my How to Worry and Stress Less While Pregnant video. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check it out. But I find it super helpful when I do have a fear arise, or say I see something kind of scary on TV, or somebody tells me like their birth horror story. I find it really helpful to talk about that fear and how it is affecting me. As I mentioned in my 5 Ways to Worry Less video, when we voice these fears or these concerns, these worries, we get them out of our head. So instead of like having this fear just spinning around and you creating this giant story related to you and your birth in your head, if you just get it out, it will make you feel so much better. And typically when we do get things out, especially if we're sharing them with a support person or a partner or somebody who we can really trust, they typically ease that fear or that worry. There is conversation around it, and typically we feel better after getting it out. I think it's also really important to remember that your fears are 100% valid. Like, you are allowed to be afraid or scared or have concerns about this process. There's nothing abnormal with having fears. As I mentioned, we're so conditioned by society, by movies and TV and the stories that people tell us to be afraid. I feel like a lot of people forget that this is a normal process of the female body, and that it's something that needs to be over-examined and actively managed, and not something natural, when it's quite the opposite. I think it's important to identify why you might be having this fear. Is it coming from that TV show? Is it coming from somebody's birth horror story? Where is that fear coming from? And once it's identified, have a discussion with a professional, like your OB, your midwife, your birth doula, and tell them your concern, and typically they will have like logistics and statistics and evidence-based reasoning why your fear might not be as scary as other people or the TV is making it out to be. Typically there are a lot better chances of things going normally than not normal. So yeah, I think it's really important to get the facts. Talk to a professional and get the facts about whatever it is that you are afraid of. I know for me, one of the biggest fears that I've had that has been debunked, I guess, by a professional is the cord being wrapped around the baby's neck. I feel like in TV shows and movies, this is made out to seem like an emergency situation and kind of like the worst thing that could happen, like your baby's not going to be able to breathe. But after talking with a professional, I learned that when the baby is still attached to the umbilical cord, they're actually still receiving oxygen through the umbilical cord. So they're not actually breathing with their lungs yet. So the baby is not going to die from lack of oxygen with the cord being wrapped around the neck. You know, it's not an emergency. All you have to do is get the cord from around the neck. So that's just an example of a fear that can be kind of like debunked with facts and actual evidence from a professional. Something else that has really helped me is creating a plan. So having a plan, like a birth plan, or your dreams and hopes and dreams of what you want your birth experience to look like. And once you have that plan, I think it's really important to believe in yourself and your ability to birth your baby the way that you would like to. I don't think there's anything wrong about that statement or incorrect about that statement. I feel like we all can have the birth that we desire with a plan and with empowerment. And yes, I know that sometimes things can go not as we planned, but you know, we can create a plan for those situations, like a what if plan, which I feel like is really helpful so that you can still have the birth that you desire in those situations. And then one last reminder is that nervousness and excitement are like on the same spectrum. They're part of the same emotion. So something that's been really helpful for me is to remember that yes, I might be feeling a little bit nervous, but I can turn that nervousness into excitement and just being excited about the process and what it's gonna feel like and what's actually gonna happen, and meeting the baby, you know, and focusing on all of those aspects of birth can be really helpful when overcoming your fears as well. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, it is 100% normal to have fears around birth, but I hope that these things that I mentioned in this video help you kind of overcome and work with or live with those fears and empower you to have the birth that you desire. Thanks for watching.